guys, it's Amy Co here. Today I am going to show you how I make my little teeny tiny books with hardcovers. This is not hard, but sometimes it's nice to have a little primer on some of the ways I have found that works best to assemble these. So let's just take a peek and get started. So as you can see, this has a little hardcover and all the little pages flip. I have glued it to the front and back of the cover. I don't glue the spine down because I find it doesn't move very well. This little cover is harder than the inside pages, which are stiffer than a real book, but who's counting? So to do this project, you will need a pair of scissors. You will need a nice straight edge. I really have found that using a metal ruler is the ticket. You can glue your pages together with a glue stick, but as per usual, my all-time most favorite is my Aleene's Tacky Glue. So that's what I've been using to make this. Additional products to make your books look a little more realistic can be ink and a little dauber to apply it. These are not required, but in the future, if you want to add that to your lineup, it is really kind of a nice thing. So initially, when I was making these mini books, I was cutting them with my paper trimmer. And surprisingly, I was getting less even cuts using my paper trimmer than I am using scissors. So all I do is I take my paper, and I'm going to do this one because I lost one of my little books that I've made already. So I'll show you what I do. I just take my paper and use my scissors and kind of cut it out. So I start off with just chunking it out of the larger piece of paper so I don't have so much to fiddle with. So as you can see, I'm very imprecise with this step. Now, when it comes to cutting out the individual strips of pages, I'm going to cut horizontally. And what I do is when I'm cutting, I don't look back here on my scissors. I don't look at where the crux is. I try to look out towards the end of my scissors because that keeps me on the straight and narrow, so to speak. So I don't know why it works. I learned this trick from another crafter years and years ago. So I'm just going to watch the tip of my scissors and see exactly where I'm cutting. So as you can see, I have both blocks of books all snugged up together. And this is so you end up having to make less cuts. So I'm going to do this initial outside border. So there's less little teeny cuts later on. You want to be fairly precise with this. You don't have to be 1,000,000% precise, but you definitely want to keep in mind that you want these all to be fairly even. So, okay, so I'm getting my last cut done here. And then as you go through it and you look fairly closely, you can see where the dividing lines are between each of the rows of pages. So I'm just going to go and again, watching the ends of my scissors and trying to make long swooping cuts. Okay, that wasn't a long swooping cut there, but you get the point. So again, start with the crux and watch out where my end goes there. And then I'm going to cut out this last page. I'm not going to cut out all 6 sets of pages because nobody really needs to watch me do that because it's kind of boring, kind of lame. Okay, so now I have my 3 equal sizes of pages. And this is where the crafty fun parts are going to start. But before I start assembling these pages, I'm actually going to assemble my cover next because I want to get that glue drying while I'm working on the other parts. So as you can see, it's got an outside and an inside. And, oh, there go my dogs. Everybody say hi to the puppies. Hello, everybody. Okay, so on my regular pages, I print those on regular printer paper. I like to use a nice, heavy, bright white paper, but it doesn't have to be anything special. Then for my book covers, though, I use a kind of lightweight cardstock, something that's easy to get through my printer, but has a little more heft to it. So I will just go ahead and chunk out one of these book covers to show you how I do this. So again, watching the end of my scissors, you want to try and trim pretty close so you don't end up with too much white edges. But if you do, don't worry, because we're going to use our ink later on to kind of hide that and make them look more realistic. So, like so. just like that. So that little tiny snippet of white there, I'm not going to worry too much about that. So first off, I'm going to take and put kind of a soft crease here. I use my ruler to get nice straight creases, but I'm going to do a soft crease between the front cover and the inside of the cover. You don't want to get real hard with this because you may have to kind of manipulate it a teeny tiny bit. And then using my tacky glue. Again, if you can get a hold of these upside down ones, it is the ticket because your nice sticky glue is always going to be at the tip. You don't want this to get super goopy and wet and runny, but you want to make sure you've got decent adhesion. So, and then I just take and fold it over, making sure my edges meet up nicely before I fold it down hard, and then just give it a little squish here. So you don't want to start folding this to the shape of your book cover until this glue is much more dry, because if you go too soon, these edges want to shift and, oops, see, I don't even have a perfect edge right there. I'm not going to worry too much about that. If I got this little white thing here, I'm going to go ahead and just snip that off. Generally, I would be a little more careful, but I don't think it's really going to be a big issue. So I'm just going to let this go ahead and dry for a little while. We'll set that aside. So when it comes to making my pages, I've already got some done here. I want to fold these accordion style. And we're going to start with the very first line, and we start folding upwards because these are going to face each other. So I'm going to fold, I use this along my straight edge and gently crease it. Again, I don't make a real hard crease because you'll see why in a few moments here. So gentle creases along where each page is. Super easy. Now, there's kind of an art to getting these to fit together perfectly, much more so than a science. So, okay. So now I've got these guys accordioned. The reason I didn't get a really hard squish on those before is I want to make sure the front edges of my pages are all nice and even. So I just kind of hold them so they're all even along the front and then make my hard squishes along my folds. So we end up with pages that are nice and equidistant along the front. If they're a little bit off in the back, it's not a huge deal because that's going to be hidden by the spine. So because I have 3 strips, see here, 3 strips, I take and I glue, as you can see, I've already done one of these. I'm going to glue these 2 back to back to make pages that go folding like so. So again, light hand with our tacky glue. As I said before, you can use a glue stick. I kind of feel like I don't quite get the exact adhesion I want with a glue stick that way, so I have moved back to just using my tacky glue. A little bit wet. I got a little bit crazy there when I told you not to. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my accordions and then my places where they're glued together. So just going to go ahead and accordion everything together so I've got my book pages back to back, and making sure along the front is kind of nice and lined up pretty well, and give it a little bit of a squash again. So next step, I'm going to glue the back sides of these together. So light hand again. I will speed this up for you guys. Okay, so now we have our inside pages all glued together for our book. Folds and closes nice and evenly. Now you want this guide to really set up nicely before you start putting it into your book cover. So I'm going to just take and use my favorite little dollar store clamps and just give it a little clamp and let that dry for 15 or 20 minutes or so. And I'm going to show you how I form my book cover with one that I have already had dried before today. So as you can see, I have this nice flat book cover. And I bend this along the spine. Now, if you use one of the ones that has this little spine binding, you don't want to bend it here. Your cover's going to be too short. You still want to bend it along the spine. This is just kind of a little decorative lip, so it looks like an old book. So I will take and, using my metal ruler again, we'll take and hold this along the edge and give it a gentle bend. And then along the other side of the binding of the spine, another gentle bend. But I don't know if you can see this or not, but as I do this, I'm kind of rounding the back just a little bit as well, because then it looks more like a real book. So I can kind of make these harder bends where the front and back are, but I don't really get a super hard bend along the back because we want it to really look like a book, because I'm weird like that and I love that. So as you can see, it really has that real book look to it. I'm going to take a chance here and hope that my little glued pages are dry enough to proceed. So generally speaking, it doesn't matter front or back, but the front does have this folded edge, so it looks a little more nice. And you want to try and make sure, of course, that your little book is right side up when you go to glue it in. So make sure all of our pages are glued properly. Yep. And this is so easy. This is where you really get to see all of your folding and swearing come to life. Light bit of glue on the front page and a light bit of glue on the back page. Smear, smear. And then I take and put the spine in the center and then just align my pages. So we've got a little bit of the back liner showing, as you can see here. And a little bit of the front liner showing, nice and glued down. And then one of the nice things about working with tacky glue is you have some open time if you need to kind of wiggle that page where it needs to be a little more. Okay, so now we have what looks like our book all set and all cute as can be. And then just to make sure that my glue has a chance to really set up, I'm just going to go ahead and clamp this up yet again. So there are 4 books in this set for Snark Club for the moment. This will be exclusive to the club for the next 3 months. So we have dragons, and then the one we just put together, the soft fairy tale book. We have the dark fairy book. Isn't that just so cute? And then the other one, oh wait, this is mermaids that I assembled for you guys, sorry. The other last book that I did not assemble for you yet is the fairy tale book. So, and it comes with a variety of, trust me, they're all there. It comes with a variety of different covers. So you can pick and choose what works best for you. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to show you how I go ahead and age these so they look a little more realistic. So as you can see, I have like white edges on these things. All I'm going to do is use a light brown ink. This is one from Tim Holtz. This is not required that you have this brand, but these blend really nicely. So this one is Vintage Photo. I use the heck out of this color. I just take, and I got some little daubers from the craft store, stick that over my finger, and then just lightly daub my ink on here. And then I just kind of rub it and tap it along anywhere I want it to look kind of aged. So it just gives that more realistic look to your project. So I will give you a side-by-side comparison in a second here. So I'm just getting the edges here, anywhere that it looks like it's just going to be too new. Let's go ahead and get the bottom, get the edges of the pages. I mean, you could even go in here and do like gilded edges with a little bit of gilder's paste. That might be really cute. Maybe I'll try that for one of the next ones. So where's the other one that's done? Where'd you go? I'm losing my mind. Well, you can see comparatively with one that's not filled. What the heck did I do with that? Oh, here it is. Here it is. So you can compare the two tops and bottoms, really bright white and aged looking. It just looks a little more realistic. And, you know, that's part of what we're going for here. So you can reduce the size of these. You can enlarge the size a little bit, but not a ton, because it's not going to have the kind of quality that you need for a great enlargement. But show me what you guys make. You can add embellishments to these and make other cute things. I'm so excited to share these with you. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a Snarky. Love you guys.